Very good morning to one and all. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. In the previous few lectures, we have seen about the distributed computing systems. What do you mean by the distributed system? Then the examples of the distributed system. Okay, so tomorrow we are going to conduct one activity on the distributed systems. Okay, the tomorrow's lecture, I'm going to conduct the activity. Today, I'm going to start with the next point of your syllabus, that is architectural model. Once you know about the distributed system, then first of all, you should know the architectural model of the distributed system, the distributed computing models. What are the different models of the distributed systems? Okay, and what do you mean by the model? The architectural model deals with the organization of components across the computer network and their interrelationship. Here, in the architectural model, it gives the means it is collection of different components which are located on the network. Okay, which are located on different location, and these components are connected through network. Then why these components are connected? Just for the communication purpose, to solve the specific task, to give the services to the systems or to the clients. All the components are located on the different locations. Okay, and how they are interconnected with each other, it gives the architectural model of any distributed system. So the model of the system gives certain aspect of the system. Then it gives the abstract view on a system, making abstract of all properties not related to the selected space aspects. Means it gives the abstract view of the distributed system. Now next one is the focus on organization and interaction of the distributed system. Here, the different components and the object. As I told previously, the distributed system is a collection of the components, objects, and the processes. Okay, so it is focused on how the components, objects, and processes are located and how they are communicating with each other. Okay, the way of communication. It should give the specification of the way of communication and the components which are located on the different location. Then the architecture has more impact on quality of system. Then when you consider the distributed system, the architecture gives the quality of the distributed system, how the components are located and how they are communicating with each other. If the communication is reliable, and if whatever the expectation from that particular system, that expectation meets, then the system is good. Okay, and it is reliable for the communication. So it is given by the architecture, how you are created the architecture of your system. It is depending upon that particular. Okay, then the next one is the architecture, overall goal, and the major concern of the distributed system. As we know, the architecture gives it deals with the organization of the components present over the network, computer network, and the communication between them. So it structures in terms of separately specified components, and the overall goal of the architectural model is the structure, in that the structure will meet present and the likely future demands. Means whenever we are going to when we design the architectural model of any distributed system, we need to consider the present and the future demand for that system. Okay, so that we can expand, we can scale your system only when you consider the future demand of the system. Okay, so these are the overall goal of any distributed system while we are making the architectural model of that particular distributed system. Now next one is the major concerns of, means the basic requirement of the distributed systems. Your distributed system should be reliable, it should be manageable, and it should be adaptable and cost effective. These are the basic concerns while you are making the distributed system or while we are designing the distributed system. Okay, reliable means the communication should be reliable. No communication loss will be there while you are designing or while the communication is happen in the distributed system. Okay, it can be manageable means whenever we want to locate, means we can locate the specific server and we can relocate the location, means we can change the location of the specific server as per our convenience. Then, and if it is also the it should also the cost effective, the distributed system. Then the next one is it specifies an abstract functions of components, means the architectural model gives the abstract function of the components available in the distributed system, the placement of components, where the components are placed, and the interrelationship between the component. Suppose consider there are two different types of architectural model. We will see further, that is first one is the client server model and the second one is the peer to peer model. Okay, so here the specific the specific task or the role is given to different systems as per the function of that particular system. In the client server model, suppose the specific role for the client and for the servers are attached or given to the system. It gives the interrelationship between the component, means which system treat as client and which system treat as server or the masters. Okay, so here we can give the different types of layers or the architectures of the architectural model. First one is means with the help of what type of components the architectural model is created. First one is software layer, second one is system architecture, and the third one is design requirements. How we can draw the architectural model of any distributed system, it is depending upon three different type parts. First one is the software layers. We'll see first the software layer. This is the diagram which shows the software layer of the architectural model. Here the bottom layer is computer and network hardware. It is a combination of, or it consists of computer and the network hardware. Okay, means the computer means the clients or the servers. Okay, and the next layer is the operating system. These are the platform of your system. Okay, first one is the computer and network hardware, one is the operating system. So whenever we are considering the distributed system, number of systems are there and n number of systems are having different operating systems, means then the topmost layer is the application or the services, where your distributed system will provide the service, will provide the applications. Okay, so suppose we are considering the TCS model, sorry, TCP IP model. Okay, and then in that particular communication model, the topmost model is the application model, where the applications are used by the system. Okay, so here these applications or services are there which are going to provided by your distributed system, but these applications are specified for the specific uh, uh, for the specific, means what can I say, for the specific role. Okay, but the different operating systems are there in this software layer, and the different networks can be there, hardware type, different hardwares are there, different networks are there. Okay, and different operating systems are also can be present on the different machines. So to mask the heterogeneity of hardware and heterogeneity of the operating systems, means the software, the middleware is used. Okay, middleware is present in between the application and the OS and hardware. So this middleware masks the heterogeneity of these type of layers, that is operating system and the network hardware. That's why with the help of this middleware, these applications can be communicate with operating system and the network of the hardware. Okay, so this is the software layer of the architectural model. All are suggested to just draw this diagram first. I'll give you 2 minutes for this. Just draw this diagram of software layer and where the middleware layer is present in between the application service and the operating system. To mask the heterogeneity, the middleware is going to use. So here, the middleware itself is a software layer. Okay, it is an additional layer of software that is used in network operating system to more or less hide the heterogeneity of the collection of underlying platforms. Here, the underlying platforms consist of operating system and the network, computer and the hardware network. So it is used, the middleware is the software layer, and it is used to mask the heterogeneity of the collection of underlying platform, that is operating system and the computer hardware. So next is the platform. Here the platform consists of operating system and the computer network hardware. It is the can give the various implementation, and it provides the communication and cooperation between the processes. While we are considering the operating system, then how we can communicate with the application and with the server, it is given by this platform only. Okay, and then the middleware itself is the additional layer of the software that is used in the network operating system to provide or to hide the heterogeneity of the collection of underlying platforms. Then this is the few points from for this middleware. The purpose of middleware is just to mask the heterogeneity, and it provides the convenient programming model. Then resist level of communication activities. Whenever we are considering the middleware consists of the remote method invocation. Different type of methods are there. Then group communication means how the communication is happening. It is given by this middleware. Then notification of events means when the event is occur, then how the notification is given by the system or the client. And then the partitioning, replication of shared data. These are the resist level of the communication activity by the middleware. Here, the remote method invocation, we can consider here RMI, RPC, CORBA or DCOM. Okay, here RPC stands for remote procedure call. When we call the procedure, the parameters means in the RPC, when we call the procedure written at the client level, then the parameters are transparent, transferred to the remote machine. Okay, means where the server is there. Okay, means the parameters pass to the remote machine.
where the procedure is executed. Procedure is executed by the server. Then the client will call the procedure to perform the specific task. And when the client calls the procedure to the server, then the parameters written in the procedure will be transferred to the remote machine, means the server machine, where the actual procedure is executed, and after which the results are sent back to the client, that is the caller. Okay, so uh, it appears that the procedure call was executed locally, but actually the procedure is executed at the server, not by the client. Client is only calls the procedure which is available, which is implemented at the server side. That's why it is called as remote method invocation. Okay, where the remote procedure is called remotely, that's why it is called as remote procedure call. And then remote method invocation, where the objects can be called by the client, with the where the objects are present in the remote procedure, means the remote machine, that is the server. Okay, then here the partitioning and the replication of the shared data is there. To execute the specific task, the different data is required, and data is stored at the server level. Okay, but when at a time n number of machines requires the same data, then it is not possible to provide the data by the server. At that time, partitioning or the replication of the data is provided to overcome or to mask the uh, same time requirement of the data. Okay, then next one is the it provides the infrastructural services, where naming, transaction, and the persistent storage is required. Okay, then the next one is the limitation of the middleware is end-to-end argument, means whenever RPC we are considering, that is the remote procedure call, then the client has to call the procedure to the server, but the actual parameters are passed from client to the server. Okay, but that particular is not it is hidden by the hidden from the client itself. But whenever we are considering middleware or the RPC, end-to-end arguments are passed from one end to the other end. That's why it is the basic limitation of the middleware. So some aspect requires support at application level. Then the it specifies, next one is the next type of the architectural model is the system architecture. First, we have seen that is the software layers, where the middleware is used to mask the heterogeneity of the hardware and the software, that is OS. Now, the next one is the system architecture. We'll see the system architecture in detail. There are two different types of architectures, that is architectural model of the distributed system. First one is the client server model, and the second one is the peer-to-peer model. Okay, the name suggests client server means the different roles are attached to the different systems. And here in the peer-to-peer model, no different roles are given. All the systems can perform each and every task only on the basis of cooperation as the peers. Okay, so now we'll see first one, that is client server model. In this, again, there are different entire architecture is there for client server model, means one tier architecture, two tier architecture, like this. Then multiple servers we can consider here in the client server architecture, then proxy servers and cache, and the last one is the mobile code in case of client server. Okay, so now we'll see in depth of the client server model. Here, the most important and most widely used distributed system architecture is the client server architecture. Okay, means consider in the lab, whenever we are considering any application, or suppose in our lab one system is there, which is the server, and the remaining all 30 systems are the client. Okay, and suppose we want to perform the specific task, then we should give respect, or send the request to the server to perform the specific task. Here consider, don't consider here all the all the systems are connected in LAN in our laboratory or in our college, but consider one lab where the client server model is there, where one system is having a server and all the remaining 29 systems are client. And if the client system want to take the printout, then the client system will not communicate to the printer directly. It has to communicate through server only. Okay, to print one page, it has to communicate with server, and then server will send the request to the printer, and then client will get the print. Okay, so this is the working of client server model. But in our laboratory, all 30 systems are connected in LAN. So peer-to-peer model is there. So any system can communicate, means whenever that system is connected to the printer, then only that system will directly send the request of printing the page to the printer only. Okay, no need to communicate with the server in our lab. So here in the client server model, it defines the role for two interacting entities. Here 30 systems are there and only one system is the client. Then every time for that, the specific role is assigned. Why this one system is server and why the remaining systems are client? Because the server system has the more configuration to perform the specific task, okay, as compared to the client. Then the client needs a particular service. Suppose here client want to take the printout, then it has to send the request to the server system and then get the reply from the server system after some time. So time is required to send the data, perform the task, and send the reply to get the reply from the server. Okay, so some time is required for that. Then the server has to wait for the request from the client. After getting the request, server will perform the specific task, the requested function, and then the server will send the reply to the client. This is the actual procedure in the client server model. Then the server can be client or another server. Here means what? The client and server roles are assigned and interchangeable. Okay, means we can change the role of the system as a server or as a client as per our convenience. Means one server can be act as client also. Okay, because that server is connected to the client to perform the task, but that particular task cannot be performed by the server. Then the same server can invoke the method to the other server to perform that task. Means that particular server will act as client and the server also. Okay, so this is the diagrammatical representation of the client server model, where two different clients are there. Here this rectangular box represents the computer, and the oval shape represents the process. These are two different clients are there, and these computers are having one single process. Okay, one is one for the first client and second one for the second client. If this client want to perform the task, then that particular client will send the request to this server. Means it invokes the method to execute that procedure or to execute that particular task. Okay, then this server will perform the task and send the result to the client. Okay, so here these two clients will act as slave. In case of master slave model, these two clients will act as slave and this server will act as master. Okay, but consider this server. In this server is connected to different clients, okay, which is not shown in this diagram, but this server is connected to different clients, and the client will send the request to perform the specific task. That particular server cannot be able to perform that task, then that server will invoke the method to the another server. Another means the middle one server, and that server will send the result to this server. That's why here the middle one server will act as master, and this one server will act as slave and the master also. Okay, means it can be client and it can be server also. This is the diagram of client server model. So please all of you draw this diagram. I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes. In every lecture, I take attendance at the end of the lecture, and it is observed that few students are only present physically. Okay, they are not giving their attendance in the chat box. Okay, and afterward, I take your attendance orally, and that attendance is considered as the last attendance. Okay, so don't consider the if you are giving attendance or mark the attendance in the chat box, it is your final attendance. Don't consider that one. Okay, so all should be present in mentally in this lecture mentally also, not only the physical presence of your lecture. Okay, yes, completed. Because in the lecture, I think there are total 43 students are present right now, currently. But at the end, when I'm taking your attendance, then only 39, 38 students gives their attendance. And only that student attendance is marked at the ERB also. So consider and be present for the attendance. Attendance is conducted at any time in the lecture, not only at the end of the lecture. Okay. Yes, all of you completed this diagram. Okay, only Madhuri Sanap is there, na? What about the remaining students? You are not replying means you are not there.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you. Next, there are different types of client server model. First one is the one tier application architecture. One tier means whenever we are considering client server model means where the client are not able to perform the specific task. It is not having the more configuration system. That's why the servers are there to perform that task. The servers are having more configuration as compared to the client. Means the data is also present at the server. Database is present at the server. The processing means the implementation of the methods are also present at the server, and the presentation are also present at the server. Okay, in case of client and server architecture. Now we'll see first one is the one tier architecture, where the mainframe has all three means data processing and the presentation. Means the database is also stored at the mainframe. Processing means the implementation of the methods are also present at the server, means the mainframe. And the presentation, how we are going to present the result, it is also given at the mainframe. And the single terminal, that is independent system, is connected through the network. Okay, here single system is there and it connected to the network. It want to perform the task, then it communicate to the mainframe through network. Architecture is known as one tier architecture. So all of you draw this diagram, and can anyone tell me about this one tier architecture? Can anyone tell me the drawback of one tier architecture? Yes. Otherwise, I ask to the specific student also. Huh? Can anyone tell me the drawback of this architecture?
Any changes made to the database is directly reflected on the server.
But database is available itself in the server, na?
Yes, ma'am. But like there is no middle any thing to just verify the whatever we give the input.
But it is compulsory whenever we are making changes in the database, it should be reflect in the server also. That's why
Yeah,
your system, then only your system is reliable. Means whenever you are making the transaction from one bank, then that particular transaction is occur in your is reflected in your account, okay, in your server. Then only your system is reliable. But the main or basic drawback is what? The single server has all three procedures, that is the database, processing, and the presentation. All the tasks can be performed, all the tasks are performed by the server only. No, the load is distributed here. Okay, so bottleneck can be occur here. Bottleneck of data, bottleneck of procedure can be occur in this case, that is one tier architecture. All of you getting this? What do you mean by bottleneck? Yes, what do you mean by bottleneck? Means simultaneously at the same time, two different clients or the systems requesting for the data or for the procedure. Then how will the server will provide the request or the reply for the request from two different clients simultaneously? That's why in that case bottleneck occurs. Means if two clients request for the same data simultaneously to the server, then bottleneck occurs at the data. And if the client requests for the method simultaneously, same method, if two different clients want to access addition method which is available at the server, then in that case also the bottleneck of processing occurs. Okay, so this is the basic drawback of one tier architecture, where bottleneck occurs at the data and at the procedure. So no, the data is distributed, balance distribution is not there. Okay, so here two entities used in the distributed application. The first one is the user desktop and the second one is at the database server. Here this is the user desktop and this is the database server where data is present, but at the same time the procedure is also given and the presentation is also given in the server or the mainframe. Okay, where in the user desktop user interface is there, means only UI is there and some portion of the application is there, means we can access that application only. And at the database server some portion of application is there and the database is there. Okay, so we can divide the clients can be divided into two different types in this one is the one tier architecture. Now the second one type is the two tier architecture, where two different entities means entities are there. First one is user desktop and second one is the database server, where the clients are divided into two different types, that is thin and fat. Okay, so here in the thin, no application code at desktop, only GUI is present. Okay, in thin client, the client has only GUI, application code. Here we can see here in the two tier architecture, two entities are there, user and the database. User is having user interface, means GUI, and some portion of the application, and in the database some portion of application and the database is there. But as per the type of client, either it is thin or fat, it is depend upon this. First one is suppose thin. If thin client we are considering, then the application portion, complete application portion is available at the database. It is absent in the user desktop. Okay, means here only GUI is present, no application code is present in the user desktop. And in case of fat, all the application codes at the desktop, means here complete application code is present at the desktop and only database is present at the data server. Okay. All of you getting this concept? That is 2-tier and 1-tier architecture. This is the basic difference between 1-tier and the 2-tier. We'll see the diagram here. This is the 2-tier architecture thin client. Here in the mainframe, that is the server, at the server, data and the processing is there, but the presentation, how the data is presented, that presentation layer is present at the client side. Means what? This is the thin client where the implementation code is not present at the client. It is present at the mainframe or the server only. Okay. But in case of thick client, this processing is also available at the client, like this one. Okay. This is the diagram for fat client where only data is present at the server, and both presenting and the processing, these are present at the client side. Okay. All of you getting this? So we will stop here. Thank you. Thank you for patiently listening. Now I'll take your attendance. Just wait. Yes, give your roll number. Roll number 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Roll number 2.
Yes, ma'am.
3. 4.
Yes, ma'am.
5. 4. Tushar is there, na? 5.
Yes.
Vedant. Just wait.